you're gonna break into. Crazy love, you got me worried. I don't know why you make me blue. Every time I call your telephone line, I gotta stop and hang up on you. Gives me the vapors, got me weak in the knees, Lord. Lord. Crazy love, you make me cry all the time. Don't know why you make me do. 'Cause what it works, they gonna wash me away. I gotta stop. Why you do me like you do? Crazy love.
It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calagione. It's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you listen, I hope you're doing all right. Don't forget the show's being brought to you in part by Campanaro and Tomkovich. Yeah, if you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones to keep my ass out of trouble. That's Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. 845-221-4099. Let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099. Don't forget to tell them Billy C sent you and that I'm going to pick up the consultation fee. They just love it when you say that. Show's also being brought to you in part by the Turning Stone Resort and Casino in Verona, New York. August 23rd, big show. Iron Mike Tyson and Iron Mike Promotions will be debuting. Friday night fights. Man, I'm going to be there, and I want you to be there too. Here's what you do. Visit the website, www.turningstone.com. Get yourself some tickets to the show. And also check out their specials. They got some room rate specials that come with package deals, dinner, that kind of thing. Definitely make your plans now. It's going to be a packed house. And I want once you make your plans, man, I want you to drop me an email, Billy at talkinboxing. That's TALKINBOXING.com. And we'll hook up. I'll let you buy me 15, 20 scotches. Yeah. And watch me do the Billy C Shuffle. So that's what's going on. I'll tell you what's coming up later in the week. Well, we got Steve Farhood from Showtime. He's going to be joining us. We may have a surprise guest, which may show up tomorrow. I'm not going to say who. He's one of my favorite fighters of all time, but just in case, I'm not going to get everybody jacked up. But make sure you tune in tomorrow. and we'll see what happens. Now, our normal cast will be here. Emily Harney tomorrow. Wednesday, we got Scotty Krause stopping by. We got my man Alex Papali, and Alex is going to be presenting the Blast from the Past with me. This week, we're going to be doing it on the Alabama Kid. Curious to see what Alex finds out about him, but lots and lots of fights. We'll be talking about him. Like I mentioned, Steve Farhood is coming on. Marty Mulcahy Thursdays. Remember that we stick around a half hour later just to chat with my man Marty. I got the winner of the Billy C Challenge. I'll be posting that tomorrow. We had a tiebreaker take place over the weekend, so I got that. I'm going to be talking about a lot of stuff a little bit later. Of course, all the fight results, we'll be getting those taken care of. I covered a fight. I'm involved with the World Boxing Federation, and I covered a fight not too far from me, and we crowned a new champion. But there's a couple of things I want to talk about the fight, and just some observations I made. An important one. Actually, two important things. Judging and the location of the judges, and how that clearly has an impact on the scorecards, and also refereeing. You've heard me mention Ron Lipton's name as a good referee. Well, Ron Lipton happened to have been the referee for a couple fights over the weekend, the ones I attended, for this event. But the most important fight, obviously, as far as I'm concerned, was the one that he covered for the World Boxing Federation. And I got some comments about him. And that'll be coming up when I talk about that fight, which is about 6 hours from now. Several emails from now, and when we get to it. But that's what's coming up. We got big news with Showtime. No, not Curtis Showtime. We'll talk about him. I'm talking about Showtime, the cable network, Steve Farhood's network, who's going to be joining us Thursday. It's not on Time Warner no mo, and I got Time Warner. So I'm pissed. It looks like I'm going to have to turn on the old DirecTV again. Anyway. We also got some news, a fight another good fight, heavyweight fight that we'll talk about. Early lines on David Haye and Tyson Fury. Manny Pacquiao, some comments about him responding to Mayweather's BS last week, and some more comments about the possibility of a Mayweather, or let me rephrase that, a Pacquiao-Mayweather showdown. So we'll talk about all that stuff coming up as the show goes on. But first, let's get some emails out the way. Mr. 1,000 Words. This is the guy you don't want to get into a long-winded conversation with. Mr. 1,000 Words said, I'm saying that just because of the name. It says, everyone knows Marquez was on something against Pacquiao in his last fight. He says, Marquez had more power in his punches at 40 years old than he ever had at 25, 30, or even 35 years old. He says, the last guy who did that was a guy named Barry Bonds. Remember him? He says, yeah, how can Marquez have so much power in the fourth fight when in the first three fights he couldn't even knock Pacquiao down once? Angel Herrera was definitely using a synthetic steroid, something not checked by Nevada. It's hard to... First of all, it's hard to deny that he looked like he was on something. I mean, he had muscles in his crap, from what I understand. When he peed in the vial, it had muscles on it. But he definitely looked like something. He looked top heavy that fight. Go back and watch the tape. He looked like he was all upper body, and then it looked like somebody photoshopped some bodybuilder. And then put it on just some little midget's legs or something. Or I don't mean that in a negative way. I meant a little person's legs. And listen, he tested clean. He never tested dirty before. So, we can't make assumptions. But Mr. 1,000 Words, I hear what you're saying. So, Jesus 7, Isazi Dios, everybody. This is like one of these really long names, but let's just say Jesus 7, S7, Dios 7. He says one reason why Mayweather Jr. The third is outstanding. I don't get that line, but one reason why Mayweather Jr. is outstanding is because there is not much competition in this era. But if all of a sudden a somewhat great like a Pacquiao or a Martinez, etc., Mayweather Jr. the third, he keeps saying the third, will somehow manipulate things to not make the fight happen. I already know this, his string. They are very manipulative. I don't get the third. I know he's junior, so I don't get that. Jesus, I think I understand what you're saying. He has made a plethora of excuses not to fight Manny Pacquiao. Right now, honestly, at one time I actually would have picked Manny to win the fight. But now, if they announce that they're fighting tomorrow, I would lean reluctantly, I might add, but I'd be rooting for Pacquiao. But I would be leaning, if I had a bet, I would put my money on Mayweather. Now, with that said, I don't think Mayweather would ever have the balls to get in the ring with Manny. And there's really one simple reason, and that reason is the fact that Manny's not a guy that you can figure out the way Floyd normally figures out his opponents. And then, Floyd shifts into another gear or has the game plan down pat. He creates a game plan as he goes. Manny is unorthodox in a lot of ways, he throws punches from different angles. He darts in, he darts out. He likes to go toe to toe. He tries to box a little bit. He circles around. I mean, he just does everything and nothing by the book. And I think Floyd is afraid of that. And I don't mean afraid in the sense where, I don't want to get any hate mail saying he's not afraid of nothing, because a lot of you guys, think he's a superhero or something. I think he's a slime ball, but that's outside the ring. That's why he would never fight Pacquiao, even if the odds are more in Floyd's favor now. There's another big reason, too. In the chance that he lost. Now, Floyd obviously never thinks that he can lose. But, I'm sure he has, would accept the loss at some point if he lost. I mean, after he went underground and cried like the sissy he is, he would probably eventually emerge and downplay it like, O's don't mean nothing, But if he lost to Pacquiao, I think the guy would go on suicide. I think they would take all his shoelaces away and, put him on suicide watch. So, I don't think he's going to fight Mayweather. I mean, I don't think Mayweather's going to fight Pacquiao. And it's funny because I got some comments from Team Pacquiao about that. And some actually funny comments from Bob Arum. But anyway, don't forget, coming up later in the week, we got Steve Farhood. We may have a mystery guest I don't even want to mention, just in case. We got the blast from the past on a relatively unknown fighter, even though the guy has fought almost 300 fights in his career. We got all kinds of stuff coming up later in the week. But I'll tell you what's coming up right now. A couple of commercials.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Roselli Enterprises. Roselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flowboys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Roselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RoselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, All the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IBO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IBO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at IBOBoxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. Glad you could join us. Don't forget, if you're listening live or watching through the stream, because the TV is not hooked up yet, you know, they don't come in until another 15. So if you're watching live on the stream, you know, don't forget to join in the reindeer games in the chat room at BillyCBoxing.com. There's a bunch of good guys in there, and there's even a Davema in there too. So, you know, nursing his football injuries. Yeah, a little advice to all you guys out there. You know, once you hit the big 4-0, stop thinking you still got it. All right, stop thinking. Just you know, if you don't believe me, you know, I've made the mistake. If you don't believe me, ask Davema. Ask my man Davema. You know, he's. I was thinking about asking him to do a down and out. You know. Hey, do a little down and out, 10-yard down and out for me. I was gonna zip a football at him, see how he handles out. Destro says, I would really like to see if the Triple G chin can hold up to Curtis Stevens' left hook. Curtis has looked good since leaving the music producer, a guy named Damon Dash. Triple G versus Peter Quillen is great too, but I think I would rather see Triple G against Curtis Showtime Stevens. Triple G has never been in a ring with a puncher like Curtis or Peter. All right, let's here's the thing, Destro. Number one, numero uno. Triple G, you know, I love Triple G, all right? But I gotta, not that I'm ripping a page out of GQ's book or nothing like that, but, you know, let's not put this guy on a pedestal just yet, all right? I mean, let's let him fight these guys like you mentioned, you know? But with that said, Peter Kid Chocolate Quinlan was in the fight of his life in his last fight against Nadam. And, you know, I don't know how talented he is. He looks good. He's a world champion. I think his pedigree is exactly, Triple G's amateur career is way more, extensive than Kid Chocolate. But Peter Quinlan against Triple G, no. I don't see it as being a test for Triple G. I see it being a test for Kid Chocolate. Now, with that said, Curtis Showtime Stevens, listen, he has looked good in his last couple of fights. There's no doubt about that. But please, you know, let's not anoint him as all of a sudden a dangerous opponent for Kid Chocolate or Triple G. This is a guy that seemingly has found a comfort zone at middleweight. Got to admit that. But let's be real. He's been put in there with hand-picked guys. Saul Roman I think he turned 72 a couple of weeks ago. This was a guy that virtually has no defense. He's taller, which some fighters say, well, I don't want to fight a taller guy. They got a longer reach and they can move around and I'm a boxer. I want to get in. Yeah, listen, they picked a taller guy. Why? Because of Curtis Stevens' patented overhand type punch where he's winging a punch, and they knew that Saul Roman was going to be like standing right there with the X on his face. Now did they figure it was going to end in a round? No. But I listen. Curtis Stevens was handed Saul as Raymond as a perfect opponent and to look good against. Now, if he steps in the ring with Triple G and does that to Triple G, I'll be the first to pat him on the back. He says he wants to fight Triple G. I doubt it. And when fighters say that, you know how the fight doesn't happen when they ask for, when Triple G's team calls him up and says, okay, we want to book you. You said you'll fight him. He says, yeah, I'll fight him. How much money are you looking to get? $40 million. No, we're paying $100,000. Well, forget it. I don't want it. And then the fight's gone. He didn't take it. He wouldn't fight me. That's when Curtis Stevens says, oh, no, he wouldn't fight me. We wanted to fight Triple G, but he wouldn't fight me. They leave out the part that they asked for, $40 million or something. And I'm not saying that, take a page from my book. Curtis beat him in a better fashion than anyone else that he fought. Who are you talking about? Saul Roman? This is giving qualities in there. You're talking about Saul Roman? Curtis Stevens beat him better than anybody else he fought. Oh, okay, so you must be a fan of Curtis Stevens. Hey, listen, man. Curtis Stevens looked good. He was matched up against a perfect opponent for him. Put him in with somebody else, see how he does. Just like Destro says, Kid Chocolate, Triple G. We could name a couple other middleweights that I think he would have. I think we'd have trouble with Matthew Macklin. So anyway. Destro also says, I cannot believe so many boxers are hopping on the Al Heyman Golden Boy Showtime train, or as I call it, Golden Heyman Promotions. He says, do you think these boxers should be concerned of what happens to them if legal spat breaks out between Heyman, Golden Boy, and Showtime? All of these signed boxers can be sidelined until the legal spat is over. Well, I could get hit by a bolt of lightning if I walk outside. So, when it's raining. So when it rains, I don't want to go outside. Just to be safe. I mean, it's the same thing what you're saying. Yeah, you got a point. If there becomes an issue between those three players, all the fighters could get into some trouble. But let's just say you take the fighters that are signed with Al Heyman. If he got into a spat with Golden Boy, then you don't think that Al Heyman can find other fights for his fighters? I would think that he could. If Showtime and Golden Boy got into a fight and all of a sudden Showtime wasn't airing Golden Boy fights anymore, do you think that Golden Boy couldn't find another place to put their cards? So in boxing, it all boils down to money. If you got the money, you're going to get whatever you need done. And it's a sad reality of it. But it's a good point. I liked your other point better. I think Triple G, personally, beats Curtis Stevens and Peter Quillen easily, as I might add. I think Curtis Stevens against Peter Quillen would be a better fight. I think it would be a closer fight for those two. And then maybe the winner taking on a Triple G. I mean, that's what I think. But anyway, like I said, we're going to be going over the fight results here in a little bit. I got a couple of more emails. The Gift Media, who's actually in the chat room right now, says, I can't wait for your score on the Luis Franco Javier Fortuna match. He says, Teddy can be way over his head sometimes, can he? You think? That's an understatement. I told you, don't give this guy a scorecard and a pencil. You got to give him a coloring book and a crayon, man. He's. Did you catch what he said? I usually mute it, but did you catch Teddy Atlas on Friday Night Fights? He starts referring to Customato, right? He made a statement about Customato, and he goes, the late Customato. I mean, the late, great Customato. When I was training with him, when I was under his tutelage, he taught me this, and he taught me that, and he taught me this, as a trainer, So he was saying when he was training for him, not under, I'm sorry, I phrased it wrong. Teddy Atlas says, when I was training under him, meaning when he was becoming a trainer, when his boxing career ended, he learned this and this and the other thing. And, when you look at the facts of that situation, the truth of the matter is he got tossed out of the camp early on. And he just won't let that go. I can't wait. I'm going to the Turning Stone on the 23rd, to cover those fights. But I'm also going because I can't wait to see how Teddy Atlas is going to act with my man Mike Tyson. I just don't get it. But Teddy's been talking smack about him for the last 20 years. Anyway. Gift Media says, I scored the fight 96-94 for Franco. He says, I thought both Teddy's 99-91 for Fortuna and the one judge that scored it 99-91 to Franco were outrageous. Even though it was entirely possible, it is a round-by-round sport. Discussing boxing with fellow scoring enthusiasts, we will always refer back to this match and ask one another, how did you score the Fortuna-Franco fight? It's interesting because when I talk about the fight that I was at this past weekend, I made a couple of observations. One was with the referee, Ron Lipton, and his job and getting to speak with him a little bit before. Plus, I spoke with all the judges before. I was there representing the World Boxing Federation, so I was trying to get a feel for all these guys. And I really have some interesting stuff to talk about with the scoring and the viewpoints and all that stuff. However, Gift Media, I too had to fight extremely close. 99-91 for either side I thought was ridiculous. Now, I could see where people lost their concentration watching that fight because it was a snoozer, in my opinion. I thought it started out okay, and they both had their moments, but it wasn't exactly a captivating fight to me. But unfortunately, if you think I was going to agree with your score, I do. I agree that the score was 96-94. I, too, scored it 96-94, except for one thing. I scored it 96-94 for Fortuna. I thought he landed the harder punches, and a lot of those close rounds that you yourself admit, Gift Media, could have went either way. I always have a tendency to lean towards the guy who throws and lands the harder punches. Luis Franco was definitely in the fight. He was landing some shots. He was landing a lot of punches, but he seemed to take the harder shots in a counterpunch situation more than Fortuna did. When Franco was doing well, he would attack and land some shots and then get out of harm's way before Fortuna could respond. Those are the rounds I gave Franco. But when he didn't get out in time and Fortuna was able to land some decent shots, or when it was the other way around, when Fortuna was the aggressor and Franco wasn't able to get out, he seemed to have landed the harder shots. And some of those closer rounds, I leaned towards Fortuna. But I thought it was an extremely close fight. If you scored 96-94 for Franco, I scored 96-94 for Fortuna. I don't call it a robbery. That score isn't a robbery. But 99-91 to me was a little outrageous too. I agree with you there. But anyway, I got a couple of more emails. Don't forget, we got some Manny Pacquiao news coming up. His response to Floyd Mayweather's ridiculous comments about signing him and all of that, knowing damn well that he signed with Top Rank's ridiculous comments about Floyd and Manny. A fight that took place, or a fight that will be taking place in September. Chris Arreola is going up against Seth Mitchell. We'll talk about that. Some odds that are already out on David Haye and Tyson Fury. All the fight results from this weekend, all the big ones, all of that stuff is coming up in about 2.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretcher, that man, I would
think. You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. From upstate New York and the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell them Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C, the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? What?
Wrong.
What's the problem?
Billy,
what?
C.
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask
wrong
you.
Speech. What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. Glad you could join us. Quick, Daveman, go down and out. Go. I'm throwing a fastball right now. No, sorry. Glad you could join us. Just wanted Dave Wilcox to go out for a pass. He's in great shape. Great shape. He's got a little gauze and tape on him right now. I'm trying not to make him laugh. I'm not hiding in that stove. Anyway, Mega Box Promotions. Here's a sneaky way to get a little PR on the show, right? Make a comment and then use your name, your promotional company. But Mega Boxing Promotions says Chavez Jr. has recently announced on a Spanish boxing program on TV that he's actually going to have his father in his corner and training him. At first he didn't want to because he felt pressured, but finally realized that he will need his father. He says, I didn't about him changing his name, though. Oh, I didn't know about him changing his name, though. He says, great news. Well, you know, the funny thing about it is that if you would have been watching all the shows Mega Boxing, you would have saw that earlier in the week, he had said he's done with my. He says, I'm done. I'm done with my father. Our professional relationship is over. Too much pressure. I still love him. He's my dad, but he's not involved with my boxing career anymore. He's not going to be ringside. I might even change my name. I'm considering just going by the name of Julio Chavez. No Caesar, no Junior, no nothing. And then 3 days later, he says, my new trainer, Dad. So that's where that came from. Thanks for the email. Thanks for the gumball, Popeye. Nobody here who's in the chat room, I think. Yeah, he is. He says, if Floyd Mayweather loses, he will actually have more fans and more fans to fight and more fights to fight. Diehards will cry every possible excuse. Finance problems to fights, drugs, etc. And others will rejoice and replay the fight 1,000,000 times. Me. He says he'll come back, win, and be bigger than he ever was. I think Floyd Mayweather seriously does not want to lose no matter what. He's chasing Sugar Ray's legacy like his uncle and dad. Well, we'll see. He says Roger Mayweather also quit on his stool against Chavez Jr. That comment was silly. Duran's a great fighter. If I were Canelo, I'd listen, but do what I must. Floyd Mayweather Jr. Puts all his emphasis in EO. I don't care what anybody says, especially somebody in the chat room. Don't care. But Floyd Mayweather will not challenge himself to fight anybody he thinks would give him any kind of a tough fight. So with that a plan, with that criteria, Floyd thinks everything is in EO. That's what he's going to brag about. And if he should lose, I agree with you in a sense. If he continued to fight, I don't know if Floyd could mentally come back from a loss. That's something that I personally would like to see, because I think I would become a fan of his for real if he showed me that he could do that. I would be happy if he got his ass kicked, and was busted up really bad, got dropped a couple of times during the fight, was bleeding and everything else, and came back and won. I don't even have to have him lose. I don't even have to have him get a loss for me to respect him. I want to see that he has what he acts like he has. I don't think so. I think that he's a typical bully, and that if he actually fought somebody, what he needs to fight is a guy that no one thinks is good, that even Floyd doesn't think is good. The guy that the bully picks on, and the next thing you know, this guy that doesn't look like he's a badass or something is making the bully eat dirt. Eat another mouthful. All right. Floyd acts like he's this macho guy, and he's from the hood. That's the way he acts. We know that that's not true, but that's the way he acts. But the truth of the matter is that I think he'll fold like a piece of tin foil if he fought somebody that would challenge him. Now, the Floyd Mayweather fans right now, they're all loving this fight with Saul Canelo Alvarez, because they know deep down that Canelo Alvarez isn't going to give Floyd a much of a fight. He's not going to give him much of a fight. Listen. Given quality, says, "Oh no, Floyd's going to stand right in front of him and out-duel him." Yeah, okay. If Floyd stands right in front of Saul Canelo Alvarez, that's Alvarez's only chance at beating Floyd Mayweather, and Floyd's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. He's going to run like the scared little bitch he is. Anyway, let's talk about the fights from the weekend. And we got a bunch of other news. I'm still reeling about the news that I heard about Time Warner. So we'll have to wait and see about that. I'll give you that in a minute, but I can't stand it. I got Time Warner. I might have to get DirecTV turned back on just for the weekend, but. Saturday, Curtis Showtime Stevens takes care of Saul Roman, like we all knew. There wasn't actually. I think we did have one person. Saul Roman. It's kind of funny. GQ is in here trying to, make him seem like he was the best. That nobody beat Saul Roman like Stevens. The other thing too is Saul Roman. If I'm not mistaken, he kind of came up in weight too, didn't he? Wasn't he a junior middleweight most of his career? Isn't he a tall guy that doesn't fight with his hands up? Doesn't he have chicken legs and a suspect chin? Doesn't he have double-digit losses? Isn't that the same Saul Roman? Okay, all right. But nonetheless, Curtis Stevens has continued his assault on the middleweight division. I think he has looked the best in his career, in my opinion, as a middleweight. If you recall, he actually started out at light heavyweight. So him fighting at middleweight is pretty good. He improved to 25 wins, 3 losses, 18 knockouts. And it only took him 2 minutes and 26 seconds to end the night for Saul Roman, who drops at 37-10 with 31 knockouts. Took place as the main event in Connecticut. If you want to see Alex Papali's ringside report, you can check it out. It's up on BillyCBoxing.com, as well as under the section that says fight. What does it say? Fight coverage. Yeah, fight coverage. I thought that the best fight in the night was Tomasz Adamek. Listen, Dominic Wynn, when I watched the weigh-in, Alex did a weigh-in show, and when I watched that weigh-in, I'm trying to check out all the chicks and everything. I'm not even looking at the fighters. I watched the weigh-in, and I looked at Dominic Wynn, and at first, he looked okay till I got a nice close-up, and I'm like, oh, man, he said he was in great shape. He looked a little pudgy. But he came to fight, and he does have a dangerous, some power. He's got dangerous power, and I thought Tomasz Adamek looked good against him anyway. Tomasz Adamek won a unanimous decision, 98-92 was the way one judge saw it, and two had it 99-91. Adamek improves to 49-2 with 29 knockouts. He and Dominic Wynn had sparred together quite often. And Dominic Wynn loses for the 10th time in his career. He's now 34-10 with a draw. So congratulations to Tomasz Adamek. I'm sure he's going to get something big next. We'll have to wait and see. The fight that disappointed me the most was Eddie Chambers. Eddie Chambers. Now. Let me start off by saying this: his career is not over. All right, his career is not over. But at the same token, if I had a fork, I'd put it in him. He's done. Eddie Chambers may be fast. He may have some talent, but I tell you where his weakness is. In the old noggin. He's mentally not there. You want to see an indication of that? All you got to do is watch the post-fight interview when it's over. He's like, woo. Well, we got to go back to the drawing board to see what happened. I don't know. I just couldn't. I mean, what do you want him to say, right, Bill? Is that what you're saying? Hey, Bill, what do you want him to say? You want him to say he got robbed? You want him to say this? You know what? I want him to do more than. I don't know. I'm gonna have to see what happened. See what happened. No. We know what happened, Eddie. We know what happened. You were posing all night long, Eddie. You weren't punching. You were nodding when he hurt you, and he landed, and you did nothing. Your fast punches, your fast hands, they were not there. They were fast, but they weren't hitting anything. They were fast in the air, but your opponent wasn't there. That opponent, who won the fight, Thaddeusio Muchununu. Let's just call him The Rock. I was saying it right last week, and now I heard somebody else say it a different way. Now I can't even say the name. Machunu, I think, is how you pronounce it. Machunu looked pretty damn good in a degree, to a degree. He looked good against, Eddie Chambers, who couldn't connect with a punch. And Mchunu wasn't exactly an elusive fighter, but I'll tell you what, he had some impressive guns, man. He had some arms on him. And I thought that he would tire out. He didn't. He seemed to sting Eddie Chambers during that fight. This was, if you were stuck around on Thursday and listened to Marty Mulcahy, you would have heard him tell you that this guy had a proven amateur record, and you would have heard him tell you that, he was in some tough fights and beat Flo Simba, not once, but twice, who was a up-and-coming fighter. A lot of regard behind Flo Simba. Knocked him out, actually. 97-93 was the way one judge scored it. That one we have to assume was Mrs. Chambers, because the other two had it 99-91, which is more realistic. Nobody can say Eddie Chambers didn't train for this fight. He came in the best shape I've ever seen him. Okay, he weighed 196 pounds, where he should be. He should be at 196 pounds. He looked good, weight-wise and stuff. Mchunu came in at 199. Chambers, listen, you need a mentality. If you're going to be a fighter, you got to have a fighter mentality. Now, whether you can back it up or not, I'm not a big Floyd fan, but he's got a fighter's mentality. He takes pride in he handpicks his opponents and he doesn't take any risks and he doesn't challenge himself. Yeah, he does all of that. But at least he's got a fighter's mentality. Curtis Stevens, he's got a fighter's mentality. Adamak, he's got a fighter's mentality. Eddie Chambers, no, he don't. I don't know where he goes from here. I think he could make some money as a cruiserweight. People were talking about him last week, including myself. I picked him. I was wrong. People saying, he could be the best cruiserweight in the division. I myself said he could, bring some life to the cruiserweight division. Man, were we all wrong or what? This guy's not bringing anything to the cruiserweight division except heartache and sorrow. I mean, where does he go from here? They pick a guy that had a good record, that was one-dimensional. And if anybody out there doesn't think that Mchunu was one-dimensional, if you're going to start to, if you're an Eddie Chambers fan, or if you're Eddie Chambers and you're watching this show, and you're going to try to convince the fans that this guy was so talented and he just got the better of you that night, you're so far from the truth, it's not even funny. This guy is a one-dimensional fighter. He lunged forward. He looks for the knockout. He went the distance. He's in good shape, but he didn't have much of a jab. He threw more punches. He was the busier fighter. Listen, I don't need to dwell on it, but Eddie Chambers just isn't what we thought he was, man. And when you think about it, he had a couple of good fights early on, but where's he been? Some other fights on that card. Glasgow. He improved to 15-0 with a draw when he stopped Brian Polly in the second round. No surprise there. 30 seconds into the second round. Also, Tony Harrison improved to 14-0 with 11 knockouts when he took care of Alex Gilbert Sanchez. 2 minutes of second round. 2 minutes and 10 seconds of the second round. He was stopped. Also, there was probably, you can ask Alex, but maybe even the best fight of the night, Chip Perez, who I've seen several times in Connecticut. He lost a unanimous decision to Michael Brooks out of Staten Island, New York, who improved to 11-0 with a draw and a couple of knockouts. He won a 6-round decision. A lot of people said the fight was close, and they would like to see a rematch. 57-56, 59-54, and one judge had it 60-53, but it was one of these fights, and this is the argument that I know that whoever wrote about the Fortuna fight, nobody, what was it? The GIF Media wrote about the Fortuna fight. And you said it right, and I think that was the case with this particular fight. Close rounds, right? When you score in close rounds, it's a 10-point must system. So at the end of the round, you look at it and you say, well, it was a really close round, but I think, Fighter A did just enough to win that round. 10-9. The next round, same thing. Close round. You say, Fighter A, he did just enough to win that round. And it was close. I could see it going both ways, but I'm gonna lean towards Fighter A. Well, after 4 or 5 rounds, and it's a 6-round fight, you could have a one-sided score that doesn't dictate or really, look like what took place. That's why I kind of support that new scoring system, believe it or not, that the WBC came up with. I think it takes an account for those close rounds that, the fight could be closer towards the end. But anyway, so that was that. There's one other fight that took place. Jeremy Williams remained undefeated. He's now 4-0 with a draw, and because he fought a draw against Greg Jackson, who was 3-0. So you had 2 undefeated fighters going at it, and they ended up with a majority draw. So that's what took place in Connecticut. Don't you love this title? Former WBA interim title holder. Come on, man. It's not like an oxymoron, man. Former interim title holder. Interim isn't even supposed to be real, but former interim title holder Luis Concepcion beat the snot out of Nestor Navarez. It was a 12-round decision. Concepcion improves to 29-3 with 21 knockouts. Navarez drops to 19 wins, 2 losses, and 2 draws. The way the judges scored it, 2 of them had it 118-108, and the third saw it at 118-109. So congratulations to Concepcion. Jorge Paez Jr. improved to 36-4 with a draw with 21 knockouts. He scored a 10-round decision over Rodolfo Quintanilla. Quintanilla drops to 13-3-3 with 10 knockouts. The way the judges scored that one, 98-91, 97-92, and 99-90. Also on that card, Alejandro Gonzalez improved to 20-0 with a couple of draws when he won a 10-round decision over Tiger Quintana, who drops to 15-2, 98-91, 97-92, 96-93. And then also on Saturday night, I was at a fight as a representative for the WBF, and Sean Miller was in that fight, and it was a light heavyweight title fight against Yassine Rashid. Now, I'm going to put this fight on hold for a second because there's a couple of things I want to talk about. Number one, the referee in this fight and some of the things that he told me before the fight, and then his performance in this fight. I want to give some kudos to him. And also the 3 judges in this fight. I got a chance to talk to all 3 of them before the fight. I also made some observations above and beyond what I was there for, and it has to do with scoring fights and the location of the judges and their viewpoints. And man, did my little experiments that I was doing that night really worked out, not only for the referee but for the 3 judges. So I'm going to put that one on hold for a second. And let's jump to the Friday night fights. Now, I've been having some discussion here in the chat room about the Javier Fortuna and Luis Franco fight. Now, I'm a big fan of Luis Franco, all right? Now, I picked Fortuna in this fight. It ended in a draw. Here's the thing. I think, first of all, I think that, the lopsided scores were ridiculous. One judge scored this fight 99-91 in favor of Franco. Teddy Atlas, in his coloring book that he called the scorecard, he scored it 99-91 in favor of Fortuna. My man made some good points about ring gentlemanship and all this stuff. But the true thing is this: what is the definition of that? Just because you move around the ring and you're being the aggressor and all that, I mean, that is a meaningless that criteria for judging a fight is actually meaningless, because the definition of that is kind of gray. So how do you award? I mean, really, the way you should award a round to a fighter is really only based on one thing, isn't it? How many punches did you land? How many effective punches did you land? Even a great defensive guy. If I'm throwing punches at you all night, forget all night. If I'm throwing punches at Dave Wilcox's ribs all round long for 3 minutes straight, I do nothing but throw body shots. All right, but I don't hit him. I miss him. He's turning and dodging and blocking and doing all of that. But I'm the guy that's throwing the punches. And Dave Wilcox is a defensive wizard. Now, I know everybody's going to tell you, there's been in the history of the sport, people have won the round without throwing a punch and stuff. But typically, the judges are going to score for the guy that hasn't connected any. They're going to score for the aggressive guy. They're gonna, Now, if it's and who, if you're going to try and say, well, he was the general. He avoided all those punches. He was, his footwork was great. His head movement was great, but he wasn't throwing any punches. I think in this fight, Franco is a really good counterpuncher. And he was hoping that he would be able to land some shots to Fortuna, who lunges forward and was trying to knock him out because, he's known for his punching power. And what ended up happening was it became a timing. It became a waltz. At times, Fortuna connected. When he was letting his hands go, Franco didn't get out of the way quick enough. And I felt that Fortuna landed the harder shots. And then there was also rounds where Luis Franco was avoiding the hard shot, or it wouldn't land flush, and he came back and landed, some decent counterpunches and stuff. I thought the fight was close. I didn't think it was anywhere near one-sided. I scored the fight 96-94 in favor of Fortuna. I thought Fortuna won the fight, but he squeaked it out. I don't think a draw is a robbery. I don't think a draw was terrible. I really don't. What I thought was terrible was a score for 99-91 for Franco. And I wouldn't, if it was 99-91 for Fortuna like Teddy Atlas scored, I think that's just as ridiculous to me. So that's the only point about that fight. But it ends in a draw. Fortuna's record now 22-0 with a draw with 16 knockouts, and Luis Franco 11-1 with a draw with 7 knockouts. The co-main event, Kerman Cintron. Is there anyone out there that wants to see this guy fight? And you talk about mental case. I said that I thought Eddie Chambers isn't there mentally. Well, Kerman Cintron definitely isn't. Jonathan Batista. If I'm telling you right now, first of all, that wasn't a knockdown, and second of all, the referee gave the fight to Cintron with those 2-point deductions. That was ridiculous. That was BS, and ultimately he lost the fight. 99-88 was a misprint because there's no way. It was 99-98, 98-89, and 98-89 were the way the I'm sorry, I guess it was 99 98-89. Is that the way? Oh, because of the point deductions. I thought that fight. I guess I better quit while I'm ahead. But I'm sorry, Kermit Cintron did nothing for me in that. But anyway, that was Friday Night Fights, the 2 fights that we saw. But how about the new Ray Robinson? He improved to 17-2 with 7 knockouts. He also won the USBA welterweight title when he stopped Ray Narr at 2 minutes and 33 seconds of the 7th round. It was scheduled for 12. Narr drops to 26-3 with 21 knockouts. Also, a guy to keep an eye on, Samuel Kote Nikwe, improved to 21-0 with 15 knockouts. He picked up the NABA lightweight title with a 10-round decision over Doran Spivey, and talk about putting a fork in somebody. He's well done. 98-91, 97-92, 96-93 in favor of Kote Nakwai. That wraps up those fights. I got one more I want to talk about. It's the fight that I covered on Saturday. I got some interesting comments. The referee job, and also the three judges and the viewpoints, the scorecards, all of that. That's the last fight I'm going to talk about. I also got the some news about Time Warner and Showtime. I'm real pissed off about that. A great fight that was announced for September in the heavyweight division. Some odds, if you're thinking about putting some money on the Tyson Fury-David Haye fight. Manny Pacquiao responds to the ridiculous comments by Floyd Mayweather. Then Bob Arum has to make up his own ridiculous comments. Henry Simon is getting back into the ring. A couple other things. You remember when Michael Casitas retired? Well, not so fast. It's a farewell fight, but still, retirement means you don't fight anymore. He didn't get that. I'm going to take a break. I'll be back in 2.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
Hit Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh?
What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C show. He's Billy C, and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back, man. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show, and you're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. Glad you could join us. You know, and all I could say is, it's not easy being green. You know, it's Kermit Cintron. That's right. I always confuse those two, Kermit Cintron and Kermit the Frog. Anyway, Saturday night I was in a real crappy town. I'm not going to promote the town or anything. I'll promote the town, but I'm not going to promote the venue or the promoter or nothing like that. But I am going to promote the fight. And the fight was Sean Miller. Now, you guys have heard me talk a lot about Bob Miller. Bob Miller is, I think, one of the sport's best cut men, one of the best cut men in the business right now. And a lot of times you see him ringside, or you'll see him in the corners. He works a lot with, Lucien Boutte, and works a lot with the Canadian fighters. And You'll see him in the corner a lot as a cut man, and most fighters that hire Bob Miller, they have the luxury of having one of the best guys left in the business when it comes to patching up. Now his son is Sean Miller, and Sean Miller is a light heavyweight who fought for the vacant World Boxing Federation's North American light heavyweight title against a really tough kid, Yassine Rashid. Now, before I get into the fight, there was a couple of things I wanted to mention. Now, you've heard me talk about refereeing and the stuff that I hate. Let's get popping, man. These guys, the guys that go to the Joe Torquez School of Refereeing, where lesson number one is come up with a phrase. You got to come up with a phrase, and everybody take the book home. These are phrases you can't use, and then you come back tomorrow with your own phrase, and that's lesson number one. If you want to be a referee in the sport of boxing, you got to come up with a phrase. You say you don't have to know anything about boxing. You don't have to be athletic. You could be a fat pig. You could be whatever you want, but if you come up with a good phrase, you may have a future in the sport of boxing. That's Joe Cortez's first lesson. Now, I got a chance to talk with, obviously it's not, he made his I'm fair, but I'm fair, I'm fair, but I'm fair, and got into the Hall of Fame over it. But I got a chance to, I was there early, and Ron Lipton, which was a referee, he actually got appointed the World Boxing Federation fight. So I had a chance to talk with him, as I did with the three judges. So I'll talk about Ron first. Now, I started talking to him about the fight, and he had to fill out paperwork and stuff. And, I was amazed to hear that, Ron is a guy, I'm not going to give out his age or anything like that, but he's a little older than me. He's in great shape. That's, first of all, it's something you got to keep in mind. Here's a guy that's in great shape. All right. And, he's a referee, so he's taking his trade very seriously. He's in good shape. His referee outfit, the outfit they wear is perfect, in perfect condition, pressed, the whole nine, He's not all disheveled like we've seen these pigs in there. He's not like that. He's all in good shape, He starts telling me that, once he knew that he got the assignment, that he went and started studying the two boxers that he was going to be refereeing, plus the other ones that he may referee that night. So he takes the card and he goes and he studies their tendencies, looks up as much film as he could, that was available, looks at the fights and sees all that, and sees if they've done any, have a tendency to do anything bad that's illegal or something like that. So it's like he's prepared for this fight, and I found that very impressive, and then, my own research on him, this is a guy that's, been in the ring refereeing all of the big names, Holyfield, Oscar De La Hoya, Sweet Pea, Roberto Duran. We're talking about Roberto Duran all last week. He got to referee him. Roy Jones Jr., Stevie Collins, Chris Eubank. I saw some discussion on Chris Eubank last week in the chat room. These are all guys. Tommy Morrison, Razor Ruddock, Ray Mercer. He's been in there with all of them. So I was impressed with the preparation that he did, and then the job that he did was totally good. There's two kinds of referees, in my opinion. One is the guy that does nothing, that is a sap, that lets everything happen and, isn't really doing his job. Then there's the other guy that, is a Gestapo in there. The guy that the Art McCanny Jr. that makes it all about himself and all of this stuff. Well, Ron was a guy that was very stern with the fighters, but in a respectful way. And he controlled the fight, I heard him say at one point during the fight, the guys were fighting inside, they were clinching and everything else, and he says, "Time's up," and he breaks them apart. Time's up, basically, he meant what he was saying to the fighter. Okay, your time's up. I gave you enough time to fight your way out of this. You're not, so I'm going to separate you. He did a fantastic job. Hats off to Ron Lipton. Now, I look at the three judges. Now, the three judges that did this fight were also did a really good job. I don't want to mention their names. You can look up their names, but because with judging and stuff, refereeing, it's easy. It's right there. I heard everything. The judges, it's a little more sacred there, and this is what I saw. All right. First of all three of them knew what the hell they were doing. Very experienced judges. One was a younger judge that I actually knew, and he's a listener to this show actually, and he does a good job. Okay, but here's the thing. You know how we look at these fights? We're talking about the Fortuna fight and all this stuff, and I can't believe this judge scored it that way, and all that. Three blind mice. I mean, I say this stuff myself. The angle in which the judge is sitting, and depending upon the two fighters fighting, will dictate how that judge's scorecard. Now, let me give you an example. In this fight, let me tell you about the fight. The fight was extremely close. All right, and Sean Miller won the fight. He won a unanimous decision over Yassine Rashad. It was a 10-round fight, and at the end of each round, you could have made a point for either fighter. Okay, and this goes exactly like the Fortuna Franco fight. You could have made a point for each fighter. Okay, but as you're scoring a card, now I had to keep score as well. As you're scoring a card, you get done with a round. And you say to yourself, well, that was a close round, but, this fighter, he did land a couple of hard punches. I give him the round, 10-9. Okay, next round, close round. This fighter, he landed a couple more, but the other one got that one good shot, 10-9. And as you start adding it up round by round, and the fight is, you're watching this fight and you're saying, man, it's a close fight, it's a good fight, it's an entertaining fight, it's an interesting fight. And then as you're adding up the scorecards, it's becoming one-dimensional. Here's the way the judges scored it, all right? And I'm going to tell you where they were sitting. Now, right in front of me, right at my view, all right, was one judge. His scorecard was 99-91 in favor of Miller, all right? That was my view, and that was pretty much how I saw the fight. The only round, without divulging what their scores were, the only round that this particular judge scored for Rashid was the final round, which he clearly won. I don't think there was anybody in the arena that felt any differently. And by the way, Miller's corner was to my right. So this judge to his right was Miller's corner. I'm making this a point, okay? Now, from Miller's right, so it would be to the other judge's left, that judge scored the fight. That judge scored the fight 98-92 in favor of Miller. He scored it 2 rounds for Rashid, and he was to the he was to the left. To his left was Miller's corner. So you have 2 judges and you have Miller's corner in the middle. So to the right of one judge is Miller's corner. To the left of the other judge is Miller's corner. All right? Those 2 judges scored the fight pretty much all in favor of Sean Miller. One 9 rounds to 1, the other one 8 rounds to 2. The other judge, who was on the opposite side of the ring, who to his left was Rashid's corner, he had it the closest. He scored the fight 96-94. Now, some people could say, oh, that judge didn't know what he was watching, or what fight was he watching, or whatever. But here's the thing. The fight predominantly was in, the area of that, more towards his end. The fight was taking place over there. There was some times where it was right in front of us and everything. But for the most part, Sean Miller's back was to us. We saw him throwing punches and stuff. But maybe they weren't landing as much as they appeared from our view, from that side of the view. Maybe the most accurate score was that third referee who had it closer. Or, maybe he was, just at the end of those close rounds, he saw something a little different. So it makes a difference to see when these judges where the fight is taking place, and it's not the fighter's fault or anything like that. They just have a tendency to feel more comfortable in a certain area of the ring or whatever. That was my observance of the way the three judges and the referee handled this fight. Nonetheless, Sean Miller is the new WBF North American Light Heavyweight Champion. His record now is 11 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. And his opponent, who fought pretty tough, Yassin Rashid, he drops to 7-5 with a couple of knockouts. Very entertaining fight. From what I understand, they will be fighting again. Not these two, but Miller will be either defending that title or fighting for another one come October. Let's get into some news. Showtime. Time Warner dropped Showtime. I thought it was BS, man. I hear that I have Time Warner. So Time Warner says, yeah, we're dropping CBS. Now I can't stand Time Warner. Listen, everything goes out. I can't stand Time Warner. Can't stand them. It's outrageously expensive. All right, they do nothing. I mean, what do they do for me? They don't even have the Fight Now channel yet, for God's sakes. And they're supposed to have that last year. They're dragging their feet with getting time to get Fight Now. So they claim that they're protecting their viewers, and they didn't want the increase in whatever the distribution was or whatever. So they drop it. Now and CBS is part of that, and they drop CBS. So for 24 hours, I didn't even have CBS. That means I wouldn't have been able to watch the football either. CBS came back because that's more of I think they had some rules that they couldn't. But Showtime's still missing off my cable. So I think it's terrible. And we got a fight this weekend coming up on Showtime. Speaking of Showtime, Steve Farhood will be joining us on Thursday, so make sure you tune in for that. Anybody that's got Time Warner, keep me posted on if you get Showtime back. I didn't get a chance to call and pitch and moan at them today, but I plan to. It was signed, sealed, and delivered. Chris Arreola and Seth Mitchell are going to be fighting each other on September 6th. This is the kind of fight we want, man. These are the exact fights that we want to see. Now, Seth Mitchell just came off of a rematch with Jonathan Banks, and he fought very cautiously. I can't wait to see him fight Chris Arreola, because Chris Arreola, he's not going to be able to fight. Seth Mitchell is not going to be able to fight a cautious fight against Chris Arreola. And Chris Arreola can take a punch. There's no question about that. He's been taking too many lately, but he can take a punch. And he's going to be standing there. And talk about a crossroads fight. I mean, that term is so overused right now. But talk about a crossroads fight. Especially for Chris Arreola. Seth Mitchell, he just avenged his loss against Jonathan Banks. But Chris Arreola needs to win. It's going to be on Showtime. Another one I'm hoping I'm not going to miss. Chris Arreola 35-3 with 30 knockouts. Seth Mitchell 26-1 with a draw. Will be a pretty decent fight. Now Chris Arreola is out of California, and that's where the fight's going to be, in California. We had just found out that Golden Boy signed Rafael Marquez, and he will be fighting. He's taking on Efren Esquives in another bout that we'll see on Showtime. This is an important fight for Marquez. Should he win this fight, he probably is going to get fed to one of the other young fighters that Golden Boy has. So we'll see what happens there. And then also the third fight, my man Josito Lopez, one of my favorite fighters, is going to be taking on Aaron Martinez, which is going to also be on TV, triple header, Showtime. Listen, I'm not a big fan of Golden Boy. Certainly not a big fan of Mayweather Promotions. Not happy with Showtime, aligning themselves with Golden Boy. But I will tell you this. I love the matchups on Showtime. They blow HBO away. Steve Farhood, I think, I'm not just saying this because he's going to be on the show this week, but I think he and Barry Tompkins are the best, at least duo out there. I would love to see Showtime get rid of you-know-who and have Steve Farhood, Barry Tompkins, and Al Bernstein, or even get rid of Al too. Al's been having a rough time. But anyway, that's the 6th of September, and we'll be looking forward to that. David Haye and Tyson Fury, it's still 2 months away, but they already got a line on it over in England. 2-7. That means, that's the betting favorite right now for David Haye. You can get Tyson Fury at 4-1 by knockout. He's 11-4 as just a unanimous decision win or just a decision win. You could get a draw right now in England at 33-1. That's what a sucker bet that is. 33-1. But anyway, we'll see what happens with that. Manny Pacquiao. Last week we were talking about Floyd Mayweather making some ridiculous statements. I'm not fighting Manny. I don't need Manny. Manny's irrelevant, blah, blah, blah. And then he says, well, the only way I'm going to fight him is if he signs with Mayweather Promotions because I want to get some more fights out of him. Maybe he wants to put him in a couple of wars first to soften him up a bit, like he hasn't been softened up already. I mean, the last time we saw him, he was face down with birds flying over his head. So it's just another, wimp way out of fighting Manny Pacquiao because, I don't think there's many people that believe that Pacquiao could even beat Mayweather right now. But, it's not a 75 or 80% chance that Mayweather beats Pacquiao. It's probably 60%. And that's too much of a risk for Floyd. So he's going to, run like a, scared girl. Manny Pacquiao commented on that. He says he's never going to fight me. He says I've actually Pacquiao says I've stopped thinking about him because I don't think he's ever going to fight me. I've been waiting 4 years already for this fight, and he's made excuses after excuses. He doesn't want to fight me. He said the bottom line is that I want this fight. He doesn't. Freddie Roach has promised that if Manny Pacquiao loses his fight against Bam Bam Rios, that he's going to retire. But that conflicts with another comment that came out today. Comment that came out today said that Manny Pacquiao intends to fight for another 2 or 3 years, which I find pretty strange. He says, and I quote, this is Manny Pacquiao, as long as I can still fight, I can fight. Yeah. He says, in my mind, right now, maybe I can still fight 2 or 3 more years. He says, I'll tell you, frankly, honestly, in myself, I still feel strong. He says, if there's something wrong in my body or something wrong in my boxing skill, I have to think about that and think about retirement. But since I lost that last fight, I still feel strong and I can still fight. I think it's all going to depend on how he fights against Bam Bam Rios, man. If he beats Rios, I think we're going to see more of him. If not, I agree. I think he's going to retire. Why should he keep going? Bob Arum said, he goes, what is this end game discussion about Manny Pacquiao? He says the end game is to run and win for the highest possible office in the Philippines. He says boxing's just a way station for Manny. He says, I think he has much to offer his country. He'll know when to call it quits in the sport of boxing, and it may very well be before a normal fighter would call it quits because he has what I think are more important things to accomplish in his life. This is Bob Arum talking about Manny Pacquiao and his future. But then Bob Arum likes to, stir the pot a little bit, and he said, and I quote, because they asked, of course, everybody asked him about Mayweather, and they referred to Mayweather as not only Manny Pacquiao's arch enemy, but also Bob Arum. I think it's more Bob Arum, personally. But Bob Arum said, and this is the title of one of my favorite James Bond movies, Never Say Never. He says, I think when Floyd realizes the economic benefits of doing a fight in Asia, maybe that'll open a door for a Pacquiao-Mayweather fight. Doing a fight in Asia, is alluding to the fact that Bob Arum would promote it. That'll never happen. Listen, if the fight happens, which I don't think it ever will, it ain't going to be promoted by Top Rank. And here's the thing. This is going to be regarded as one of the best fights that never took place. It's going to haunt Floyd Mayweather for the rest of his life. And I don't care what anybody says. You know, he needed to close the book on Pacquiao. He needed to beat him. He needed to beat him good. And he could. But anyway. Remember we said that Antonio DeMarco put the word out that he's a free agent and all that stuff? Well, it was announced today that he signed with Zanfir Promotions, and he will be getting in the ring in a couple of weeks. Actually, this weekend, Saturday, August 10th, he's going to be back in the ring in Mexico, and he's going to be taking on Fidel Monterosa. So we'll see what happens there. Maybe I'll even throw that one up on the challenge. The main event that day is Daniel Rojas, who's 15-0, taking on Roberto Castaneda, he's coming off a close fight, I think. September 28th, 41-year-old former World Boxing Organization's junior middleweight champion Harry Simon is coming back. He's still unbeaten, by the way. 28 wins and no losses with 21 knockouts. He's coming back on September 28th. He's taking on Giard Atovic, who's got a record of 23-8 with one draw, and it's going to be taking place in Namibia. So that's the country it's taking place in. His last fight was Zoltan Kiss. He fought in June, knocked out Zoltan in the second round. So we'll see what happens with the continued return of Harry Simon. Speaking of returns, I'm going to return here in a couple of minutes. I'm going to take a short break, and we got some more boxing news to talk about. Hopefully we'll have a chance to open up the phone line. It doesn't look like we're going to for at least the first half of the final segment here. Programming note, tomorrow we're scheduled to have my girl Emily Harney, one of boxing's best photographers. She's going to be on the show. We also may have a mystery guest, a surprise guest that was one of my favorite fighters of all time. He may be joining us. I'm not going to say who because he's not the most reliable guy. So we will keep that open. On Wednesday, we're going to be doing a blast from the past. Alabama Kid is going to be who we're talking about. We got some suggestions from some people, and we put them all on a list, and we're going to be doing them. So coming up in the near future, in addition to Alabama Kid, Terry Marsh, I know is on the list. Don Cockle, a guy who fought Rocky Marciano, he's on the list. Les Darcy is also on the list, another really good fighter. So we got some people stacked up here. We'll kick it all off with the Alabama Kid. Then on Thursday, Dax Khan will give us his boxing schedule roundup. And then you stick around a half hour later when we got Marty Mulcahy coming on. And before Dax, we will have Steve Farhood joining us on Thursday. So we got a busy day on Thursday. And then Friday, I'll be breaking down all the fights that we have on the challenge. And speaking of the challenge, I'll be announcing the winner. I don't want to announce it now because I didn't post it on the website, but I'll post it first thing in the morning. We have the winner for July. It took us an extra week because we had a three-way tie for July's winner. So I will announce July's winner on tomorrow's show, and I will let him know he won on tomorrow morning, as well as posting it on the website. So a lot of stuff's going on there. And then what else we got? We got a lot of stuff going on. Oh, but first I'm going to take a break.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
I have a bunch of questions, Donnell, right? If you feel like you want to, you can answer for JD first. Why will you win? JD Chapman, why will you win?
Baby Holmes will get sick and get hit by a train that day on the way to the fight, or he might have diarrhea, he might have the flu, he might throw up. One of his eyeballs might fall out that day, and I might get lucky.
Talking Boxing.
with Billy C.
In the real world, life has its shares of trials and tribulations, but you don't have to face them alone. This is Patricia Campanaro of Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you are facing emotionally difficult family legal issues from divorce to child custody, reach out to the team that will dedicate themselves to fighting for you, the team of Campanaro and Tomkovich. With almost 30 years of experience handling divorce, child custody, legal guardianship, visitation, and other legal issues dealing with family concerns, we can help you resolve the problems you are facing with professionalism and care. Our supportive staff is always ready to assist you with any questions or concerns you may have. To find out more about Campanaro and Tomkovich, visit us at duchessnylaw.com or call us and speak to a member of our attentive staff at 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099. Don't be surprised at court with inexperienced representation. At Campanaro and Tomkovich, we have been helping our clients get the justice they deserve for almost 30 years, and we could do the same for you.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the number 1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
St. Jimmy's coming down across the alleyway, up on the boulevard like a zip gun on parade. Lights on the silhouette, he's just a butter net, coming at you on the count of 1, 2.
And, you know, yeah, we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And, I was just thinking, I'm a big Bugs Bunny fan, you remember the old, the scene when Bugs Bunny's, hey, button your lip. Button my lip, like this, boss. And the big guy has like a little button on his lip, like this, boss. And he spits out the button. I don't know. Anyway, Arish Usamani is going to be looking to make some history. Now, he's going to be fighting on this card that I'm going to be at, man. I want you to be at, too. August 23rd. Dave Wilcox, he's I'm trying not to make him laugh. Yeah, right. He's not hiding in that stove. You remember the scene, turn on the gas. Would I turn on the gas if my friend Rocky was hiding in the stove? Would I throw a lighted match in there if Rocky was hiding in the stove? Take me, hide me too. Anyway, Arash Usamani. Yeah, boxing. That's right. August 23rd, Verona, New York, is going to be a happening place, man. Let me tell you. All right, can I be honest with you here? I was never a big fan of Turning Stone until about 5 years ago when I realized that they really did a nice job. Now, I had the misfortune of going there like when it first opened, and it was just a crapper. It was terrible. But they really have increased everything there. I mean, the quality of the hotels, there's multiple hotels, and there's other hotels now that are around the resort. The dining is great. The shows there are great. It's worthwhile, and I recommend that you take this weekend. Now, August 23rd is a Friday. It was the extended Friday night fights. Mike Tyson will be there. Mike Tyson is going to be promoting his first show. He will have at least a couple of the fighters will be under his promotional banner, Iron Mike Promotions. It's going to be, an ESPN Friday Night Fights show, so you'll be able to, see Teddy, and I might even give him a coloring book and a crayon for his score sheet. I'm going to really see how he's going to be a fake butt kisser to Mike Tyson, since he's been talking smack for Mike for the last 20 years. But when all is said and done, you're going to see a really good card. And you might as well make some plans. If you go to their website, www.turningstone.com, you will, and under their getaways, weekend getaways, or special deals or something like that, check it out, man. You can get a room rate there with some dinner and stuff, and tell them Billy C sent you to get the fight tickets thrown in or to have them discounted or whatever. And make yourself some plans. Drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. And I'd love to meet you, man. We can hook up. I'm going to be there on Friday, and I'll be there for the fights, of course. I'll be there beforehand for scotches. I'll be taking as many scotches as you guys want to get me. And then after the fight, I'll be doing the Billy C Shuffle, depending upon how many scotches I did have. And I'll be hanging out for the night and maybe even the next day. So we'll make some plans. We'll get together and all that happy stuff. So make your plans right now for August 23rd. Now, what started all of this? Because I mentioned one of the guys on the card, Arash Yusamani, is going to be fighting for the Super Featherweight Championship of the world. And he's going to be, if he does win, he's going to make Canadian history because he will become the very first fighter from Alberta, Canada, to ever win a world title in Super Featherweight division. He's coming off a controversial loss to Rances Barthélemy, and I'm looking forward to this fight. So we'll wait and see. Now it's cool that I'm going to be there because I actually was part of another piece of Canadian boxing history. I forget what year it was. It was several years ago, but Eric Lucas, or Luca, so depending upon how you pronounce it, I've always pronounced it Lucas, was fighting in Canada for the not for the first time, but he fought there a lot, and he won the world title, and it was the very first time a world title was won on Canadian. I think the history was it was the first time a Canadian won a world title on Canadian soil, and I was there for that one, and I was at the Bell Center in Montreal, and man, was that a great night of fight. So the Canadians know how to rock and roll when they're making boxing history, that's for sure. So and Turning Stone's not that far from the Toronto border. It's probably I guess from the city of Toronto you can make it to Turning Stone in probably 4 hours, maybe 3 or 4 hour drive. So that's not too bad. So hopefully we'll see a lot of Canadians there, and I'll be glad to have you Canadians buy me a scotch as well. So Michael Casitas, Michael Casitas was one of my modern guys, one of my favorite guys, only because he was exciting and stuff. But he kind of burned out, let's say, and I don't mean burn out like, Cheech Marin. I'm talking about, he ran out of flame, is what I mean. And, he was going to hang it up. If you recall, several months ago, after the advice of several doctors that he went to see and his family and everything, he says, that's it. I'm done. I'm retiring from the sport of boxing. And we all thought it was a good thing. His style of fighting was conducive to possible problems down the road, and I thought that he was making a very smart and educated decision. Well, it was announced late last week that he has decided, and here's the worst part, they're still throwing in former champion, all of this, and making it. He wants to fight one more time. He wants to call it his farewell fight, and it's going to take place in Toowoomba. Now, Casitas has a record of 28-6 with 23 knockouts. He had left his trainer and former manager Brendan Smith, and I started working out with him again recently in Australia, and now he's talking about fighting one more time. And he says, and I quote, I want to fight again and go out on my terms. He says, this is where I want to do it. I want to have a send-off in his hometown. He says, I believe I've achieved everything I can in boxing, but I just want to fight one more time. My man Curon, who does a lot of stuff for this show behind the scenes, one day we were going back and forth. 1 week we were going back and forth with a lot of emails and stuff, and I've made this comment. Why is it so hard for fighters to know when to say when? And that's just when the guy in your corner, the guy that you care about and everything, they need to step up and tell you, it's over and stuff like that. I work with fighters, and I've told them all, at different times when I feel it's over, I'm just going to tell you, you're going to be mad at me and everything else. Well, I was involved with the Sal Senacola fight. Remember, Sal Senacola was one fight away from a world title fight in the 80s and had ripped his hamstring and continued to fight anyway, and subsequently was knocked out in 2 rounds and just walked away from the sport. And for 25 years, that haunted him and haunted him and haunted him, that he didn't get to leave on his own terms, similar to what Michael Casitas is saying. And earlier this year, not only did he, unretire and come back for a comeback, he fought and won a fight, and he also broke a Guinness Book of World Records for being the longest guy between fights. It was over 25 years. And all during the promotion of that fight with Sal Senacola, the question kept coming up. People, why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? And his answer was almost identical to Michael Casitas here. And this is a guy, Michael Casitas has a lot more on the line. Michael Casitas, is fighting possibly to prevent any kind of long-term effects from the fights he's been in. Sal Senacola, he's a very successful businessman, doesn't need the money, wanted to do this for other reasons, and he did it. And here's the thing. As much as he did it and accomplished what he set out for, he still hasn't fully let go that it's time for him to stop. And I'm talking about Sal. He's 53 years old. We keep telling him, have a retirement party, retire officially once and for all. He's hemming and hawing. It goes back to what Kieran said to me. He said, fighters are fighters. They don't want to, ever think that something can beat them, even Father Time. And, Bernard Hopkins is a good example of that. I hope Michael Casitas is making the right decision. And if he does have a farewell fight, I'm sure it's just going to be a fight that he's going to look good at, pay somebody to take a severe beating, and Casitas can go out one more time, except this time with his hands held high and everybody cheering and everything else. That's the juice that a fighter wants. Unbeaten middleweight Gilberto Ramirez is 25-0 with 20 knockouts. He's making his U.S. debut August 24th against Julio Cesar Babyface Garcia, 45-8. Garcia's a tough guy. It's going to be a fight that's going to be scheduled for 10 rounds. It will be taking place in California, and we'll see what happens. Also on the card, my man, Jesse Magladeno. He's 15-0 with 11 knockouts. They have not named his opponent. Now, I said in his last fight, it's time for Jesse Magladeno to step it up. Step it up, Jess. And Jesse's in good shape. He's a young kid, man. I love that kid. He's good. It's going to be a top-ranked card, so we'll see what happens there. Andre Ward wants to get back in the ring and all of this. Did you hear that Zolt Erdai, who's a former cruiserweight and light heavyweight champion, who's got a record of 33-1, actually lost his last fight against Denis Grachov this past March? He's 39 years old. Did you see that he said, I'm willing to fight Andre Ward. I'll come down to 168. That's pretty much of a bold statement for an almost 40-year-old guy. And he says, and I quote, by the way, when I decided to sign with Lou DiBella and fight in America, it was for me to face Lou DiBella's best boxers in the world. He says Ward is considered to be the best boxer in the world above the middleweight division, and he's a great champion. I respect his skills, but I know that I have what it takes to get the job done and shock the world. A win over Ward makes me a superstar in America, and that's my ultimate goal. A win against Ward or a fight against Ward, he also knows would be on Showtime, and he'd get a decent payday. And at 39 years old, that's what he's looking for. Jaden Cordington is making his comeback, and he's going to be coming back again. August 18th, he'll be back in the ring. He's going to be on as the main event. He's taken his record now is 20 wins, 3 losses, with 16 of his wins coming by knockout. And he's taken on veteran DeLeon Tinsley, who's been beaten up by the best of them. His record is 9-10-1. Also on that card is Cotavious Cash. What a name that is. It sounds like a I knew somebody had a cat named Octavius once, but Quatavius. How do you do that? How do you do that to your kid? You got a brand new kid, and it's like, what do you want to name him? Billy, Johnny, Bobby, Tony? No, I know. Quatavius. Quatavius. Maybe that means something. I don't know. Somebody enlighten me. Does it mean anything? Come on, all you guys in the chat room, you guys know a lot more than me about this kind of stuff. But anyway, he's taking on Angel Martinez, who's 3 wins, 4 losses, and 3 draws. So we'll see what happens. That's going to be taking place in Atlanta, Georgia. So keep your eyes out for that one. Derry Jean. This is right out of the book of my man John from LDL TV, who chases ghosts. Derry Jean said that he had a vision in a dream that he's going to get a world title shot, and I guess he's close to it, and we'll see what happens with him. His win over Cleotis Mookie Pendarvis recently, when was it, a couple months ago, I guess has catapulted him, and he's in the top 10 by some of these ranked, some of these bodies. I know we got him in, ranked, at least in our rankings, which is a lot tougher to get ranked in our rankings. So we'll see what happens. Apparently, he's going to be taking on Peterson, Lamont, you dummy, Peterson, who I guess it's been made a mandatory. These guys are trying to cut the deal, and if not, according to the IBF, it's going to go to a purse bid, so we'll see what happens there. And one more thing I wanted to mention, they do have another fight scheduled for Friday Night Fights. It's going to be taking place on the 23rd, like I said, up in Turning Stone. This week we got a couple of fights up at on August, this Friday, on Fright Nights, I should say. Rustam Nagaev is going to be taking on Jose Hernandez. And he's been quoted as saying, I'm going to shine. This is my time to shine. And that's what he's looking to do. So we'll see what happens with that. But let me talk about some of these other fights that have taken place this weekend. And I'm not so sure which ones are going to be on the challenge. Lukajevic and Deontay Wilder is definitely a fight that's going to be on there. I like it. I like the fight. I'm not a big Deontay Wilder fan, but I like this fight. Are we going to give Deontay Wilder credit if he wins this fight? I think we should anyway. I think we should give him some credit. It's arguably one of the better opponents that he's faced, so I guess we got to give him credit for it. Should he come out on top? I'm not sure that he's the real deal yet. Here's the one thing we got to consider. He didn't really have an extensive amateur career. People are going to say, what are you talking about? He won a bronze medal, but he really didn't fight that often. So his first fights as pros were, less than stellar. He's fighting a guy that's obviously his best days are many years behind him in Sergey Lukajevic, but I think we will get some kind of a gauge. That's going to be on our challenge. Of course, the Gamaliel Rodriguez and Jorge Pazos fight will also be on there. The Friday night fights will. I'm not sure with the undercard. I know Jamal Charlo and Francisco Vargas are both going to be on the Wilder card. Depending upon who their opponents are, which I don't have in front of me, will determine if it's part of our challenge. Hector Camacho Jr. Now, he's been announcing that he's going to fight for his father and all of this stuff. 3 fights now. Well, we're pretty close because in 3 days he's scheduled to fight in Rochester, New York, in an outdoor stadium. It's called Frontier Stadium in Rochester. He's scheduled to still fight TBA. Now, I talked with some people. I'm not going to mention the names, and whether or not they're with the commission of New York State or not, I'm not going to mention that either. But according to them, as of Saturday, Camacho did not even come close to making the weight that this fight was supposed to be set at, and he did not have all his medicals in place. This fight is what, Thursday? Today's the 5th, so, it's Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, whatever. This is his MO, man. He comes in overweight. He doesn't fight anybody tough. It's a shame because he's nothing like his father. His father was a talented fighter. I like Junior. He's a likable kid, but we'll have to see what happens, man. I did not think he was going to go through with this fight when it was announced. So we'll see. We'll see if it actually happens. So keep your eyes open for that one. That was supposed to be scheduled for this week. We got the undercard on the Friday night fights. I think it's still Geraldo Robles going up against Emmanuel to go. I think I'll have a cheeseburger to go. No, I'll have a cheeseburger, Emmanuel to go. But I think that's going to be happening. What's the thank you for? It's somebody they're thanking me for what? About what? About what's his name? About Camacho Jr. The casino highlight in Miami is going to be having a fight as well this weekend. So anybody that swings by there, it's not a bad place. A good fight that's going to be on our challenge. No fights from that one are going to be on, but a good fight that will be on our challenge, and I think it's still scheduled. Emilio Marino is scheduled to put his bantamweight title on the line, 11th defense on August 10th. So we'll see what happens there. I don't know who he's fighting. I got to see, but don't know if that's still on or not. We know Rodriguez Pazos is taking place on Unimos. Adrian Hernandez was also supposed to fight this week, so I got to double check on all of these guys and make sure that these fights are still going to be taking place. So we'll be looking forward to that. So anyway, yeah, they're busting my chops because they I don't know. I don't know what they're talking about anymore. You see, these guys. You guys got to learn not to get in a conversation with GQ because he's so one-sided and he's so got the blinders on that there's no way to talk to this guy. There's no way to talk to this guy about the sport of boxing because he only knows one thing. And it's actually sad because given qualities, it seems to be an intelligent guy, but it's sad that he's wrapped up in one of the biggest fallacies of the sport that I've ever seen. But anyway, hey, listen, guess what? I'm going to get into this right now.
Wake up. It's time for It's too early for a trivia question.
Yeah, he says he's never wrong. He's always right, like a freeway exit. I wish you would get on that exit right now. And I got news for you. There's plenty of left exits off of freeways, man. We got several of them in New York. So. Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia question is being supplied to. Well, before I say that, is being sponsored by the Turning Stone Resort and Casino in Ravona, New York. And in Verona, New York, on August 23rd, we got a really good show. Really good show. Coming up will be the extended ESPN Friday Night Fights show. They were going to end it a week earlier, but they added this one. Why? Because Mike Tyson's going to be promoting it. He's going to have a couple of fights on there, a couple of good fights, and that's what's going to be taking place. So this trivia question is being supplied, being sponsored by the Turning Stone, and I want you to be there, man. Get yourself some tickets. You might as well stay there, man. Stay there for a weekend. Make it a long weekend, and make yourself some plans. Visit their website, www.turningstone.com. And click on the spot where it says, deals, man. You want to make a deal. You want to get a room. You want to combine it with some dinner. Hey, the restaurants there are really good. And then here's what you do: when you're done with that, you go to the box office. You get yourself some tickets. Tell them Billy C sent you. Get a Billy C discount, and then email me and tell me when you're going to be there, man, and where you want me to meet you, so you can buy me a couple of scotches. And we'll have some fun, man. Hey, I like to meet all the people. I met a bunch of people last time. I know when I go up to the other casinos in Connecticut, we always meet. It's real convenient to meet there. There's like a bar. Hey, go down the escalator, and I'll be sitting right at the bar. That's right there in the center, But Turning Stone's a little different because the liquor situation there on that reservation, you can get liquor in the casino, but it's actually a third-party company. So in other words, they bring in the liquor and you're buying it from them. It's like this really weird law there. So there are bars in there, but you have to kind of, it's very formal. Like at Mohegan Sun, literally there's a bar in the center of the hallway. You go down the escalator from the main entrance, and there it is. You can't miss it. I love it. And then there's many other ones too, and at the casino. But anyway, listen. You get yourself a room. You get yourself tickets to the fight, August 23rd at Turning Stone, and email me, and I will make sure we find a place where you can buy me a scotch. Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia Question is being supplied to us by our very own trivia question guru, Henry Haskup. And this is a great question, man, and I'm shocked that we didn't get it right yet, because it's not that hard and it's easy to find. All of these trivia questions are easy to find if you do a search. They're all searchable and they're all easy to find. You just got to put a little time and effort into it. Here's the question. And this is what I love about this question. I told you guys, I gave you a little edumacation about Roberto Duran. Yeah, not only would he have kicked the snot out of you-know-who, but his nickname, which everybody knows as Hands of Stone, was not his first. His first was Rocky Duran. And if you don't believe me, all you got to do is watch the fight between Rocky Duran and when he won the world title against Kenny Buchanan. It was at Madison Square Garden in New York City, 1976, or was it 76? No, 1972. I'm sorry. And he was nicknamed Rocky. You could see it. They were calling Rocky, and not only that, but they all had it on their robes and all that stuff. Anyway, this isn't that question. But the question is what was Jake LaMotta's nickname before he was known as the Bronx Bull? And then later on, a lot of people refer to him as the Raging Bull because of the movie. He was never referred to as the Raging Bull. At least I don't recall him ever being referred to as the Raging Bull until after the movie. That's something you can ask my man Henry Haskup about that. But nonetheless, most people know Jake LaMotta as the Bronx Bull or the Raging Bull. But before that, he actually had another nickname. What is it? If you know what Jake LaMotta's original nickname before he was known as the Bronx Bull or the Raging Bull, email me, Billy@TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com, and you'll win the prize. What's the prize for this one? Well, we got a couple of things. I got some books. I got some unopened collector's cards. I got some at the hotel, when at MGM Hotel, they always give away collector fight keys. I got a couple of those, and I believe I have a you-know-who one. That's right. I have a you-know-who one. Maybe I'll give that away. I got some other stuff. I'll give you some choices. You win this, and I'll give you some choices, all right? What was Jake LaMotta's nickname before he was known as the Bronx Bull or the Raging Bull? If you're the first one to email me the correct answer at Billy@TalkinBoxing, that's TalkinBoxing.com, you will win the prize. Good luck to everybody on that one.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That is Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. 845-221-4099. Let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099. Don't forget, tell them Billy C sent you, and that I'm picking up the consultation fee. That's right. And by the way, it may be worth it to run a red light or maybe hold up a bank or something like that, just to go in there and meet all the hotties that are in that office. Campanaro and Tomkovich, 845-221-4099. Don't hold up a bank. On this day, August 5th, in 2006, Edwin Relario knocks out Vincent Mascara in the 10th round to win the WBA junior lightweight title. That took place in Panama. Too bad about Edwin Valario. What a wasted talent that was, that whole sad scene. But that's what took place on this day, August 5th in 2006. On this day, August 5th, also in 2006, Koki Kamada wins a 12-round decision over Juan Landata to win the vacant WBA junior flyweight title, and that took place in Japan. On this day, August 5th in 1931, Maxie Rosenblum wins a 15-round decision over Jimmy Slattery to retain his world light heavyweight title, and that took place at Ebbets Field in Brooklyn, New York. On this day in 1961, Gene Fulmer wins a 15-round decision over Florentino Fernandez to retain the world middleweight title, and took place in Utah. And finally, on this day, August 5th in 1990, Vinny Pazienza wins a 10-round decision over Greg Haugen, my man, to improve to 29 wins and 4 losses. That took place on this day, August 5th in 1990 in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Hey, man, that concludes our show for today. I got one more thing to say. Make sure you tune in tomorrow evening, same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.